Hello bass trombonists. I'm testing a few vintage single valve bass trombones. I thought I'd compare it with my beloved Kanstul 1670 George Roberts. It's the bronze 9.5 inch one-piece bell, absolutely beautiful instrument. I've also got some vintage horns here. The Bach 50B, probably from the 80s. And the classic Conn 72H L-cut. So the first thing most bass bones normally test, I would say, at least I do, is the power in the valve register, the response. Let's hit a few pedal valve Ds. Pretty razzy, but still centered sound. The D didn't always respond as I had hoped. Here's the Bach. Very easy response down there. It just absolutely pops out. It's incredible. What's interesting is that the Bach has the most resistance of all of these three horns, so I can't quite explain why that's so easy in the valve register, but it is. Here's the Conn. That D is just a little bit on the stuffy side. Compared to the other ones. Still very good, but doesn't quite have the projection, I would say. I mean, we're not really doing a fair comparison here when we're comparing fairly new Kanstul with 50, 60-year-old Conn, but it's the way it is. Okay, let's play something a little bit softer, some Bordogni. The Bach. Incidentally, this is a fantastic mouthpiece from Legato in Bremen, Germany. It's their standard C2 mouthpiece with a C2 rim. They got tons of rims. This was based on the Yamaha feel of a rim. It's the smallest of that category, but it's still on the larger side, at least in Europe. I just love that rich golden sound. It's incredible. And here's Mr. Roberts from Kanstul. Will they ever make another one of these horns? Let's hope so. Yeah, it's got the least resistance, I would say. Very easy blowing. I didn't expect to say this, but I'm amazed by the core of the sound, the quality of the sound of the Bach though. I always thought my Kanstul was better, but in this comparison, there's just something more golden in the Bach. So that was Bordogni. Let's play some Grigoriev, a bit more articulated stuff. Number 8. When I was practicing this, the low D at the end there was a little troublesome. On the Kanstul, it's the easiest in terms of response. Let's see how it is with the Bach. The D wasn't quite as easy. The whole thing was actually more strenuous on the Bach. Slightly more resistance, has to be said. It's an interesting comparison. And the Conn. This is also more lightweight in general. It's definitely the lightest to hold. Sits nicely in the hand. It's also just lighter to play. Alright, what about high register? Etc. Got to the high E flat there pretty easily. I'd say this is the easiest of the three for the high register. You may have heard just now my big fat hands getting in the way of the linkage. It's just a little bit too small for my hand, so I've got to get that changed. And here's the Bach. Quite there. Just a little harder work, but you get more sound. And here's the 1670. There as well. I think I hit the wrong slide position there, but the high notes, the high E flat was definitely there. It's very free blowing, has to be said. So, incredible horns. My opinion, my final opinion is, in terms of sound, the Bach wins. Second place, Kanstul. Third place, Conn. In terms of response, the Kanstul and the Conn. The Kanstul wins. Second place, the Conn. Yeah, in terms of weight, the Conn's the best. That's maybe the only reason why I'd get the Conn, just to save a little bit of weight, but it doesn't quite have the projection of the other horns. Yeah, and the last thing, pretty important for single valve, is do we get the low B natural? and unfortunately, hands down, the Kanstul loses big time there. When we come right out here, let's get the tuner on. I'll go as far, absolutely far as I can on the slide. I'm not quite there on the B natural. I even tried to lip it down a little bit at the end. The slide is too short. You don't get the low C either if you've got the F in tune on first position. So the slide is lacking a few centimeters, and I've heard Kanstul has that problem, unfortunately, with a few of their models. I wonder why. The Bach, let's get right out here. Also, not quite the length you would want. So we're right on the edge here. My tuner is actually showing it's on a little on the sharp side, but it's still acceptable. So we do have a B natural with a Bach, but it's at the very edge of both slides. And finally, Mr. Conn has a huge F slide, almost goes to E flat, and there we will find a perfect B natural. The first time that the green light immediately nailed it, and I still had a little bit of space on the slide. So, 3 amazing single valve bass trombones for you to consider. Thanks for any comments, opinions, alternatives. What have I missed? What is equally as good? I'm thinking the Conn and Hoyer. I think the 163 is amazing single valve. What is your favorite single valve bass trombone? See you later.